The gods had made their choice. Now they must be prepared to die. The sun beat down on the shoulders of 16-year-old Nico D'Angelo, son of Hades, god of the dead. His black t-shirt stuck to his back, and his jeans were soaked with sweat. He wiped both off with a sigh, glaring at the person who was doing this on purpose. Of course, Apollo, god of the sun, couldn't help but tease his friend. "Having fun yet, Nicky?" he asked, a mocking lilt in his voice. Nico just scowled and kept wiping himself off. "You could stop being an annoying little punk if you want," he said through gritted teeth. "What do you mean?" Apollo raised his eyebrows innocently. "Oh, I don't know. Like maybe not attack me with your water powers when I'm literally radiating sunshine." "Water powers?" Nico scoffed, crossing his arms. "I think you'll find that's a little bit rude. We should be helping each other." "Yeah, because we're friends. That is literally what friends do." Nico rolled his eyes. "Whatever, you win." He turned away from Apollo and continued to wipe himself off, groaning dramatically. They were in the middle of training outside the walls of the elite school for demigods, a secret academy where children of the Greek gods came to hone their skills before going out into the world and hopefully preventing a divine war. It wasn't really going well, though. Ever since the announcement of the upcoming war between the gods, things had been tense. The students were nervous about their futures. Would they fight alongside their godly parent? Would they even get to choose? And all the teachers were stressed about their campers. Camp Half-Blood, the home of the demigods, was being attacked more frequently by monsters and giant alike. There were also these strange occurrences that happened throughout the day, like random children spontaneously combusting into flames or water pouring from thin air. But most of those incidents involved two people. Apollo, god of music, light, healing, and plagues, depending on his mood, and Artemis, goddess of the hunt, moon, wilderness, childbearing, and chastity. These two hadn't gotten along since they were kids, and now that there was a war brewing, they were taking it out on each other's children. It wasn't personal per se, more like they were trying to claim ownership of the next generation. As Apollo walked past Nico, he nudged him playfully in the ribs. "Hey, Nicky, did you see Leo and Calypso together today?" Nico sighed again, pinching the bridge of his nose. "No, I didn't. I haven't seen either of them all week, and honestly, I don't plan on it. Can you drop it? Please?" "You're no fun," Apollo huffed, turning away to stretch. "But seriously, they've been hanging out a lot lately. I think they're getting closer." Nico's head snapped towards Apollo, eyes wide. "What?" "Yeah," Apollo said, grinning. "Calypso and Leo. I saw them talking earlier and then they went off together. I wonder where they went." Nico's mind raced, thinking of all the possibilities. No, it can't be. They're just friends, right, he thought. But what if Apollo was right? What if Leo liked Calypso? She's so sweet and beautiful, and Leo's so charming and funny. Of course they'd hit it off. But what would that mean for Nico? He liked Calypso too. He'd known her longer than anyone else, and besides, she was his best friend. He couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Not only because he liked her, but because she was the only person at camp who truly understood him. He never told anyone, not even Will Solace, his boyfriend, about how he felt. He didn't want to hurt Will, not when they were both training to become hunters. That was important too. If they won the war, the world would be better for everyone, including demigods. Nico needed to stay focused on his mission. The last thing he wanted to do was get distracted by his feelings for Calypso. Still, he couldn't help but feel jealous. He always felt jealous whenever Apollo was around. Apollo was everything Nico wasn't. Outgoing, charismatic, strong, powerful, always the center of attention. All Nico had was his looks and his powers, which he rarely used anyway. When camp activities were over, Nico would sneak off to the forest and practice magic spells on trees and rocks. He could never get it right. He was afraid of hurting someone, and he knew his magic was dangerous. That's why he kept it a secret. He didn't want to scare the other campers away. He didn't want to seem like a freak. So he hid his magic, his powers, his feelings. He buried them all deep inside of him until there was nothing left but a burning rage that threatened to consume him from the inside out. Later that night, after dinner, Nico found himself wandering through the forest alone. The moon was full and the stars were bright. The trees were tall and dark. The air was still and silent. Nico stopped in his tracks when he heard a voice. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice echoing through the darkness. "Show yourself." A figure emerged from behind a tree. It was a girl about Nico's age, with long flowing hair, pale skin, pointed ears and wings. "Who are you?" "My name is Calypso. Do you know me?" No, sorry." Calypso frowned. "You're the new kid, right? The son of Hades. I've seen you around. We haven't been introduced." "Oh, yeah, I'm Nico." Calypso took a step closer. "Do you have a minute? We need to talk." "About what?" "Something important." Nico hesitated. He wanted to say yes, but he was scared. Scared of what she might tell him, scared of what he might feel, scared of who he might become. I don't know." Calypso reached out and touched his arm. "Please, Nico, you have to listen to me. This is urgent." All right, I'm coming. Let's go." They walked in silence for a while until they reached a clearing. In the center stood a large oak tree with gnarled branches that reached up towards the sky like skeletal fingers. Beneath its canopy sat two figures, a boy and a girl. The boy was tall and muscular with curly brown hair and amber eyes. The girl was shorter and slender with chestnut hair and emerald eyes. Both of them wore hunting clothes and carried bows and arrows. "Leo, Calypso," Nico said, surprised. "What are you guys doing here?" "We were just discussing our strategy for tomorrow's training exercise," Leo replied with a grin. "It's going to be epic." "Yeah," Calypso added, glancing at Nico. "We need your help." "Help with what?" Nico asked cautiously. "With everything," Calypso said softly. "We need you to join us." "Us," Nico echoed, confused. "What do you mean?" Calypso took a deep breath. "We're starting a rebellion." "A what?" "We're sick of Apollo and Artemis bossing us around. They think they own us, but they don't. They don't own anything, not anymore. But if you leave, who will train you? Who will prepare you for the war?" "We don't need them," Leo said angrily. "We can do it ourselves." "But the prophecy," Calypso began, her voice trembling. "What about the prophecy?" Nico asked, sensing danger. "It says that one of us will betray the others," she whispered, "and then the world will end." As Calypso spoke, Nico felt a chill run down his spine. He knew that prophecy. He'd seen it written in the stars when he was younger, but he'd never told anyone. He was afraid of what they might think, afraid of what he might become. But now that he heard Calypso say it aloud, now that he saw the fear in her eyes, he knew he couldn't keep hiding. He had to tell her, tell them all. He had to reveal the truth. "Guys, I know who the prophecy is about," he said quietly. They all turned to him, their faces pale. "What? Who?" "Me,"